Send the folks. Put them up high. Higher than high. Let him see from the heavens above. He's watching. He's looking at us right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back to the Classics. I'm back on Back to the Classics. Holy shit. The Cinematic Movie Podcast that takes back to the iconic films of 20 years ago on the big three: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Now we're on flipping. What else are we on right now? We're on like
YouTube. We're on YouTube.
YouTube, obviously.
Spreaker.
Pandora. We're on Pandora now. Boom, there you go.
Oh, Pandora. There you go.
Yeah. But check us out. I am your guy, of course, Jay Alonzo. With me, of course, is
David Neff. David Neff. Welcome back, partner. How you doing?
Oh man, good to be back. I feel like I look really sweaty on camera, but it's really just the glare of my light in the kitchen. It's a really good bald head, though.
It is a perfectly shaped bald head.
Yes, I've missed you, bro. I've missed the show.
I've missed you too, man. I'm glad you're back. You know, I was a little concerned there. I was like, oh, is Jay ever coming back? But we talked about it, obviously, and we knew that you were coming back. And
hell yeah. I did a live, but thank you for everybody who came out and watched the live. To let people know that I was not leaving the show. Just at times you gotta just kind of take time for yourself, you know what I mean, and then explore other avenues. And Dave could be doing the exact same thing relatively soon as well. If 2020 doesn't take us out between now and then, but 2020 has been a bitch, man. Like
now this isn't Jay and I's first time back, actually. It's his first time back to the show. After a month, but we actually just recently did our first ever live. Not only our first ever live, but we were actually part of the Family Feud version of FOH, which you could catch on BeatNetworkOnline.com.
So much fun.
I came in second. Jay came in third. Skylar, unfortunately, came in first, only because apparently y'all don't know TV shows. And I had to, there was, even though my argument was true, you guys still voted me out anyway. But whatever, no hard feelings. I don't take competitions that seriously, as you can tell.
Well, you know, it was funny because, like, I knew my food opinion was going to get me out of here, like, without a doubt. But they're like, what? You smoking?
I was most concerned about my movie one, especially because of the recent news. Because it's like, Dom hit it perfectly. She was like, "Too soon, Dave." I was like, "I know, but if I knew the news that would have came out, I would have done something differently." But by then, I had already locked in my answers. So. And to kind of get to transition into that is with a heavy heart that we state that our king, the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Mr. Chadwick Boseman, has passed away from colon cancer at the age of 43. It really came out of nowhere. This happened Friday. This past Friday. We're recording right now. Today is Tuesday evening, and I was over at a friend's house when I found out, and it stunned me. Like, somebody came walking in and was just like, "Hey, Black Panther just died," and I was like, "What? Like, what happened?" It was so stunning for myself, and I could only imagine how the community was already feeling, how everybody's like heart, went into it. I got to be honest, like once all the memorials started to pour in, not just from everybody, but like everybody kept sharing everything on social media about it. It really did get to me, and I almost had to start deleting stuff off the group page, which I know would have already caused enough controversy, but only because like I couldn't, it was already painful enough to know that it had actually happened. For it to be consistently reminded was it felt like a knife being stabbed in the back, and it's tough for me to feel celebratory in the life of him when I'm not ready for his death, is what I'm basically trying to say. And that's not a knock on anybody who felt like the best way that they could show their love and appreciation for Mr. Boseman is by sharing all the wonderful stuff that he's done, from his children's hospital appearances to his thank you speech to Denzel. It was very eye opening. It was something that really came from left field, and something I don't think any of us were ready for. Your thoughts, Jay?
You said you were at a buddy's group when you found out?
Yeah, so I was over at a buddy's house, and there was like a collection of us. A couple of people had been drinking, and a friend of ours came in late, and I hadn't checked like social media or any pages at that point, so it had actually been a few hours at this point. And he came in and he was just like, "Hey, yeah, Chadwick Boseman just died," and I was like, "What are you?"
So you found out hours down the road what happened?
I would probably say 4 or 5 hours after.
For the fans who follow me on the social medias, I was just in LA. I left for LA Friday actually. As I'm getting into Long Beach, that's where my cousin stayed at. Shout out to Jose. I'm walking to my cousin's place, and I get a text message from Skylar, from our Skylar, saying Chadwick Boseman just died. I'm like, what? Bullshit. Nah, I ain't buying that, because the source was like, all right, whatever. I'm not too much. I'm not too keen on the source. But like we find out everything else we find out, you want to do your own investigation. So as I'm driving, I'm literally in Long Beach, and I'm driving, and I put in, I Google search Chadwick Boseman, and boom, at least maybe 10 minutes after the family had announced, put out their statement saying that he had passed away. It was CNN, TMZ, Fox. Celebrities are now pouring in. Like it was just an onslaught of just this, right? And honest to God, truth, and us as movie fans, and we'll get to the roles later. But us as movie fans, when you idolize a certain celebrity, you may not never meet this person a day in your life, but then you look at what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what the aura that they provide to people. I had to pull my car over for a second and genuinely shed a tear, because it's more so of who it was, what he represents, but how he went out, and then it much more makes you appreciate him, and makes you appreciate life a hell of a lot more, because we go through shit all the time, and oftentimes I'm gonna be bitching and moaning because I just need an ear to hear me. But for someone who had this aggressive, disease, my grandfather died of colon cancer, so I know how aggressive it can actually be. And the fact that aggressiveness was going through his body, meanwhile, my man is shooting 4 or 5 movies, and it's like, and still take time to go visit children, and still keep a smile on the face, like, and really keep a secret going. Even though I feel like Disney and Marvel knew certain things, they probably didn't know the full extent of it, but they knew certain things, and they still allowed us to still do this. You know what I mean? But as an artist, as someone who, give or take, had a relatively short career, but did so much in that short time we had him, and to be so influential, and for him to be, let's be real, of course, we have Blade, we have other black comic book stuff that happened prior to Black Panther. But let's be real, Black Panther was the first time black kids from all walks of life was able to see themselves being represented on screen. And when you see the children's reaction to it, which also bothered me to see it, because social media can be real funny like that. But when I saw there were children, in particular, one particular kid, I think Viola Davis tweeted this out. There was one particular kid that had all his Black Panther stuff there, and he's sitting there, tears in his eyes, Wakanda Forever, all the Black Panther garb, plus a Black Panther toy laid up like that's his funeral. You know what I'm saying? And it's today as we do this show, I didn't want to believe it. And I even watched the special on ABC. It was that they ran Black Panther commercial free. Then they did the special to him, and I still couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like 2020 has been so full of the weirdest things, and then death is like just surrounding us on a daily basis. It's hard to believe that we lost Black Panther. That's wild, and he's more than just that. But his cultural influence and the mark he left on this world is insane. You know what I'm saying? We'll get more into it. Going into his filmography, most people will know him for playing Jackie Robinson in 42, James Brown in Get On Up, Thurgood Marshall, and of course T'Challa, Black Panther, and then also 21 Bridges, which I wasn't a fan of, but whatever. And of course, I'll be damned if he don't get nominated for Best Supporting, even for that small role he had in The Five Bloods, with Delroy definitely looking at some sort of a Best Actor nod somewhere. But let me ask you, when you first kind of caught a glimpse of Chadwick Boseman, what was your overall thought? Like, you think he had something special?
Well, I guess that's a hard part when you're trying to be honest with yourself when it comes to films. You want to look at the people that I always believe that it's always best to kind of start out with indie projects first before getting into the big stuff, right? A perfect example is like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He disappeared for a while when he finally hit his big teen role in 10 Things I Hate About You. But then, he comes back with 500 Days of Summer, which is still arguably his best role that he's ever done. And he did a couple of other indie stuff, and that's kind of where I feel like you really start to kind of build out your career. It's like the perfect example is like, for the female comparison, is like Brie Larson. Okay. I watched Room for the first time the other day, and man, I guess now I get a little irritated when I look at Captain Marvel and her acting in that. And then I look at Room.
Yeah, I agree.
Where was that?
I agree. Because Room made you feel that shit. You felt
every minute.
I'm like, just let her go.
The kid was fantastic. She was fantastic, if heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And to get back to your question, though, when I looked at Chadwick, it was he went for it. He went for it immediately. Think about it this way, like he was already known for some TV spots, but and he later had a 9-episode role on Lincoln Heights before that finished, and he went for it. Like the first movie he ever did was The Express, which is a very, very, very good movie on another heartbreaking story on Ernie Davis, which is the story of a guy who basically was going to be the next big thing, never played it down in the NFL because of lymphoma, but he played the backup to him at Syracuse, Floyd Little. So that was all. He was already tackling somewhat of a bigger role there, even though he was there very small. But 5 years later, he turns around, after getting a few more guest spots, including a spot on Persons Unknown, and he just comes out swinging with 42. I remember him in Draft Day because he was the first overall pick on a very ridiculous sports movie that I really strongly disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes to Get On Up. Then next thing you know, he was announced as Black Panther. And
let's not forget Gods of Egypt, though.
Y'all forget Gods of Egypt.
Let's not forget Gods of Egypt, though. He's all through there too.
You know why I miss that movie?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna honor what he's doing, he did Gods of Egypt too.
I'll give him one of the Egyptian gods, Thoth. Man, when you first see him, though, he already personified Jackie Robinson, which is, think about that, like. Who do you come out and say, I want somebody to play Jackie Robinson? I'm sorry, you want somebody to play who? The most legendary sports figure in all of baseball? You're talking about the kid that broke so many barriers just by him playing, and goddamn, he was really fucking great.
Now, okay, so when it comes to 42, and this is one of those things where you have to equate the artist to the actual art itself. I didn't love 42. I didn't think they did Jackie Robinson justice for that movie. But what Chadwick brought to that character is jaw-dropping great. Now,
I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, our generation doesn't know Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson came in. Jackie Robinson was born in 1919, and he was dead. He was dead before you and I were even thought of. Okay, he died in 1972, right? And that was during a period. First of all, his career happened smack dab before true civil rights was really up and coming. It was on the way, and he helped pave the way for that. But when I hear my elders like talk about him, they go, "Yo, that he was a dog. Like he played his heart out every single time." Almost in defiance. It's like Jesse Owens in my eyes. Jesse Owens was defiant in winning his gold medals. And Jackie Robinson, who wound up, becoming National League MVP. He was a World Series champion in 55, 6-time All-Star, batting champion, MLB Rookie of the Year. He was defiant in every single one of those ways. That's what I saw in Chadwick. The problem is of course, the time period. You can't say, oh, well, where was he during the civil rights thing? He was the generation right before. He was right before all that.
Right. But what Chadwick brought to 42, also he brought to Get On Up. Now, Get On Up was a different story.
Right. Now, that is definitely more Chadwick.
Get On Up is Chadwick 110%. And for a role that is challenging, like James Brown, to have to move like James Brown, to somewhat try to kind of sing like James Brown and to talk like James Brown, and he had that shit down, bro. It's like Tate Taylor, who did The Help, had me like, Get On Up is like I view Chadwick and Get On Up like how we view Jimmy Fox and Ray, how we view like J-Lo and Selena. Like, you become these people,
right?
You know what I mean? And the fact that he did 2 biopics back to back was insane.
And obviously, the next role that he would get is obviously Black Panther. And before we really get into that, he also did a very commendable job, a role that easily could have turned into an Oscar nod in Thurgood. Thurgood Marshall, Thurgood Marshall was the first African American or Black Supreme Court justice. So for him once again to come back into breaking those barriers and saying, hey, I'm not afraid to tackle this stuff. I'm not afraid to get myself in the. Keep in mind, he already had a chance to back off and start doing, you know, more Marvel stuff. You know, the minute that he landed Black Panther, or he could have done other action roles. How many roles do we see? Unfair comparison, but I look at, say, Chris Hemsworth and I look at Chadwick, and those are two different actors. Hemsworth is using his charm and good looks, his natural good looks, to get roles like, Red Dawn, and then, you know, he did Rush, and then, which is an excellent movie also, you know, and he's doing what was the one, the creepy one, the one that was at the California Nevada hotel. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Midnight at the El Dorado. No,
you're right there.
I'm close though. Something El Dorado on the title, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up. But you know, so
he also did Black Cat, which wasn't good at all.
No, of course not. But he also did, you know, he had a role in, you know, Star Trek. He was, you know, he obviously turned into Men in Black International. He was technically in Ghostbusters, however way you want to call that. And Bad Times at the El Royale.
Bad Times at the El Royale, yeah.
That is a good movie. But this wasn't, none of these roles were something that were breaking barrier type. This wasn't like going Leonardo DiCaprio when he went for Howard Hughes, and only a timepiece of Howard Hughes. This wasn't, you know, Leo going for that, or it wasn't, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis and basically everything going in as Lincoln. This was Hemsworth kind of went the action star role. There's nothing wrong with that. Back to Chadwick though, because that's where the conversation is Chadwick had no issues going up as far as he could for it. The heartbreaking part about all of this, in my eyes, Jay, is the fact that we find this out with this idea now that that he was sick for a long period of time. It was almost his dying wish to get through and show these are stories that we should be talking about. Why aren't we talking about Thurgood Marshall? Why aren't we talking about Jackie Robinson? Why hasn't there been something on James Brown yet? And I really, really would have loved to have seen where he would have gone from there. It's only going to lead to an Oscar at that point.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I read that he didn't even want to be an actor; he wanted to direct, and he kind of just fell into acting. You know what I'm saying? And for me, you know, Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, James Brown, three iconic figures in American history who are black men. And while nobody else would even give this any kind of thought, he went ahead and did it. And he shined in them joints, you know what I mean? And those and like a Daniel Day-Lewis was very selective on what he chose to do. Once he was in that position to where, like, let's say he's not necessarily auditioning for roles anymore, he's getting offered them joints. Pre or post Black Panther, he was very, very solidified in what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why it's crazy how the momentum itself, when you even think about, you know, the idea of Chadwick Boseman being gone, is like T'Challa's gone. And that brings us to when he took the role of Black Panther. And I remember when he first shows up as T'Challa in Civil War, and the view was so regal. He looked like royalty. You know what I'm saying? And how he carried himself, and the first fight scene he has with Bucky, and it was just like I can't wait to see what he does in his own movie. I can't wait to see what he does.
And then Black Panther comes out, and Black Panther comes out, and man, it's everything you want for Black culture. It was. I remember somebody said it perfectly. They said it's the first time in Black culture where it wasn't about somebody breaking barriers because of the person that they are. They're breaking barriers because it's the first time that this is a celebration of real culture and royalty. Mm-hmm. You know, this wasn't that my culture is slave culture. This wasn't, you know, the only reason why I'm popular is because of 12 years a slave, or the only reason why I'm popular is because of Roots, or the only reason why I'm popular is because I was an abolitionist, or because I stood up for civil rights. Again, all very important things to Black history. This was like, man, you guys don't even know how beautiful Black culture is.
What I loved about Black Panther, I think I've seen out of all the Marvel movies, I've seen Black Panther the most in theaters for sure. But I remember we went opening night. He went opening night. And I took my daughter and my mom, and then I went and saw it again with some friends. Then I went and saw it again with the chick I was dating at the time. But the atmosphere in the theater, you remember, the atmosphere in the theater when we saw it, it was jam-packed. It wasn't just Black folks, it was everybody. It was Black folks, Asians, older folks. I mean, it was just packed. It was so packed. And by the time the movie started, to the time you get that the last shot of the shot before the credits roll and you get the Kendrick Lamar song, All the Stars, you watched something that you thought you would never fucking see. Number one, people showing up to the movie in African garbs. Kids are wearing Black Panthers, you know, suits, and they knew they had something special. I don't think they anticipated this movie to be as culturally impactful of not just Black culture, of American history at that. Because after Black Panther happened, it's almost like we pulled back the curtain, like, listen, we could do other shit too. We don't have to just be Pimp number 3, Gangster number 2. We got some shit. And I swear to God, you saw a shift in how things were being casted, how people were kind of being a bit more on the forefront of certain leads and roles in TV shows, and I just got to lead in this movie over here, and it became different. It just became different. I believe Jordan Peele won for Get Out the following year.
Yeah.
So it began this transition of what we now know today. We're just trying to get our just due, trying to be free, but to hear these stories and to take I'm getting emotional, shit. And to take what Ryan Coogler did. Ryan Coogler, who's a cat from Oakland, California. You know what I'm saying? Bro, Black Panther is solidified in like American history. Like, it's the first superhero movie with a 95% Black cast, written and directed by a Black man. And and you think about them kids who are, you know, showing their MCU toys laid out, and they're all doing a thing for Black Panther. Someone think it's pandering, but at the same time, think about it. We were young when we found out that Christopher Reeve died, and that sucked. It's like, oh damn, like Christopher Reeve died, or some of the people that we idolized as kids either died off really quickly, or we watched them deteriorate until they were gone. So for these kids who got a chance to see Chadwick as T'Challa, and to know that T'Challa in human form is gone, oh, bro, that's heartbreaking, man. That's heartbreaking. And then to know what he went through prior to, he'd go see kids at the St. Jude's and tell them it's going to be all right. Bro, the story he tells on Sway in the Morning broke me down. I mean, breaks me. Every time I watch it, I tear up watching it, because he's not only explaining these two kids who are trying to stay alive to watch you be Black Panther, deep down inside, you're telling yourself, I gotta make sure I stay up so I can finish Black Panther and finish what I'm doing, so I can leave this for this generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just, we're talking about, we literally lost a king. We literally lost a king, and it's sad. It's sad, but at the same time, though, if for people who are into the spiritual side of things, whatever destiny he had laid out for himself, he fulfilled it. You know what I'm saying? It's just us as the fans, it's hard to accept because you never thought we'd see Chadwick Boseman leave. You think you would know? I would at least see him grab at least 4 or 5 Oscars by the time I'm 40. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah.
There's not a lot of celebrity deaths that really top this. I mean, you have to look at people that were true game changers in terms of how they approached roles, and or how they approached music. I immediately picture Prince. I immediately picture Michael Jackson. I immediately picture David Bowie. As real game changers for how music changed. Movie wise, man, I think Alan Rickman. For a guy who was kind of a bumbling idiot for some years after Die Hard, and he got his roles. He got his roles in. Don't get me wrong, and then turn around and get Severus Snape and finish off that entire series, and then basically died like shortly after. Or I think of Heath Ledger, obviously. Since we're talking comic book movies, I mean, there's a guy who acted his ass off on probably the best role he's ever acted in, although you can argue Brokeback Mountain if you want to.
Right.
And to turn around and just, his life was over like that. What is depressing more than anything with Black Panther was the fact that this is a guy that, for the most part, I don't really think a lot of people knew about his private life. I think he mainly kept to himself outside of trying to keep himself busy with work. And so when you find out that he had cancer, that's when it hurt so bad to know that. It already hurt enough, this year with Kobe. That was 6 months ago. When you really think about it, that was only 6 months ago when we lost Kobe. And you're sitting there and you're like, what else could 2020 take away from us? And man, we really shouldn't have hedged that bet there. We really shouldn't have.
It's crazy. It gets to a point where it's like, all right, so now we're in September. You know what I'm saying? Like we got 4 solid months to go.
Man,
to New Year's
2020 has got some fucking hands, dude. Like
this motherfucker. He really can fight.
It hurts in general. I'll share my final thoughts on Chadwick, and then I'll pass it over to you, and then we'll talk about some other things, wrap the show up. For a king, he will be missed. He meant more to a culture that I haven't truly been a part of, as my culture is more military culture than anything else. But I wish his journey through the afterlife well. I wish that the healing can start soon for the culture, and I just want the pain to kind of stop for all my friends and family here.
Okay. If one thing 2020 has taught me that life is abundantly short. And not just your own life, but the life that surrounds you is like abundantly short. And with this year alone, I personally lost 2 friends this year. One to, domestic violence, the other to a simple freak accident. But like you said, we also lost Kobe. We lost Kobe Bryant. We lost Little Richard. We lost, man, Andre Harrell. I mean, we've lost icons this year. On top of that, we've lost regular people due to a virus that can't nobody see. You know what I'm saying? So for it to get to a point to where people that you kind of rely on to kind of guide you through the craziness that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, he himself has now transitioned on with a personal fight of his own that nobody knew he actually had. But he did it to where he wanted to let his work speak for him. And of course, in the coming months, it's going to be to talk about what's Marvel to do now. How do you press on without him? You can have people there that don't want him to be recast. Just get rid of T'Challa altogether and make sure he did Black Panther or whatever. And we'll have that talk. We will definitely have that talk. But right now, it's not that time to have that talk. We still need to really kind of let this sink in that, the man who gave you not only Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, 21 Bridges, A Message from the King on Netflix. He has another movie coming out pretty soon called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I think he just shot that before he was done. And The Five Bloods on top of that. But the dude that literally shook up a culture and gave these young children a view of what you can be. You know what I'm saying? If Obama taught you if Obama showed you that you could be a president, Chadwick Boseman showed you can be a superhero. You know what I'm saying? And that's a huge thanks and a huge ball of gratitude to him, because even when we didn't know we needed it, we still got it. You know what I'm saying? Or better yet, even when we were naysayers and said that we wouldn't get it, we got it. And just imagine how many kids are going to be Black Panther this year. Hell, just imagine how many people are going to be Black Panther in general this year. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a loss that's a lot heavier than some people will actually take. This loss is practically on the level of a Kobe Bryant. I've been a Laker fan since I was a kid, and Kobe's been my favorite player since I was a kid. But what Chadwick Boseman represented and what he gave to society as a whole, and doing all this while fighting his own personal fight until he couldn't fight no more. That's king status, 100%. So, with that being said, my final words would be to the late great Chadwick Boseman. You are definitely a king who left this earth entirely too soon. You definitely have more work to do on this planet, but while you were here, you made an amazing footprint in the whole community's lives. So I'm just reading right now that they want to take down some statue in South Carolina and put his up. I'm like, okay, I mean, speaking a bit quick, but all right, cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. But all the Confederate fuckers can go anywhere. So if you put down a Confederate statue and put up Black Panther, I'm cool with that. Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's whatever. But rest in eternal peace, King. You will be missed sorely down here. ain't no telling how many times I'm gonna watch Black Panther between now and the year, for sure. But you are definitely missed down here. Huge condolences to the Boseman family, to his wife. Nobody's feeling the pain that they're feeling right now. But as a community, as fans, we are hurting right now. So rest in eternal peace, King. Absolutely.
So, to transition on to other topics, we had a movie in place. We decided not to. Pretty easily. Why? Because I almost kind of feel like the movie wouldn't be appropriate for what we just talked about. To be fair,
Nah.
and
That's what we have to just let's just keep it about Chad.
this is supposed to be super throwback September. So our apologies to our fans who are expecting a movie. We will definitely have one next week. We can briefly talk about kind of the things that we have caught up on in terms of new movies that have come out. I'll go ahead and start. It had been a long time since I've been to the movies, so I didn't really know what to expect.
So you went to the actual theater?
I went to the actual theater. Yeah.
All right.
So I went to Aliante, which is up the street from me, and I will complain about one thing, and then I'll just kind of let it be. Getting into Aliante, I understand we're trying to keep everybody safe. I'm all for that. Bro, like Aliante is like parking garage is like on one side and the entrance is downstairs, right? So it's here, right? When I tell you that I had to walk downstairs, hang a left to go through the main doors because the doors that normally lead into the casino is now only considered an emergency exit, was visibly frustrating. But they took my temperature. You know, it was very, very safe. I saw a lot of people with masks on. I got food. And I sat at a table 6 feet apart. And I felt pretty safe over there. Now, when I went to the concession because they changed things up, they're forcing you to buy your movie ticket where the concessions are, which kind of makes sense because Aliante ticket box office is like it's an actual just block, a little small block, so can't be breathing in the same air or whatever. And I bought a ticket to New Mutants to watch Fox's final production on the X-Men series. And what can I say about it? It is decently acted.
Mm-hmm.
The script is okay. It's neither awful nor is it outstanding. The villain is weak. And I almost felt like she wasn't even the villain anyway. But overall, like if I was to take into consideration all the X-Men movies, I'd probably put it on par with the Wolverine. Just straight up the Wolverine. That's the one where Hugh Jackman goes to Japan to fuck shit up. That movie is just okay, and this movie is just okay. I wouldn't say it's bad at all. Like if somebody was like, "Hey, New Mutant is on," I'd probably go watch it again. I like the powers a lot. The powers were actually pretty top notch. A couple of generic.
Does it feel like it came out? Does it feel like that the movie should have been out years ago?
Here's the thing. Yeah, a little bit, because you know what Maisie Williams looks like now, and so when you see her, and you could clearly tell that this was probably before Game of Thrones season 8. You know, you're kind of like, okay, that was out last year. We know this year you look different, so this was shot 2 years before this, at least. You know, what else did I want to hit on with this movie? Oh, there's a rated R version of this movie out there somewhere that's
Mhm.
probably really good because it's a PG-13 horror, which is already kind of hard to pull off. Because I don't think there's really any good PG-13 horror movies. I think horror movies should stick to R, and I think that's okay. Because of that, it kind of suffers a little bit there. For Last Hurrah, I'll give it to Fox. It's solid. It's definitely better than Apocalypse. It's definitely better than Dark Phoenix.
Got you. Okay.
Definitely better than X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is the one where Deadpool's like mouth is closed in together or whatever. Definitely better than Last Stand. Let me think about this. I know some people that are kind of hit or miss with Days of Future Past, so probably just as good as that.
Days of Future Past is fantastic.
Okay, then in that case, probably just as good as the Wolverine and just as good as the first X-Men, like the first ever X-Men movie. You know, the first ever X-Men movie is good for its time.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this movie is going to be very forgettable here in about 10 years. So I don't think anybody's ever going to remember this movie.
All right.
But
your score on a scale of 10.
I'd probably give it a 7. But I also feel like by giving it a 7, that's not that's basically like me saying Fox was clearly not wanting to end X-Men at this point. They wanted to continue. They just ran out of money because they weren't putting out good products, plain and simple. And they got an offer they couldn't refuse. Do I think Disney will make a better version of this? I don't know. I've never been sold on the whole Disney thing, you know. But
no, they're done with this.
No. I know they're done with this, but when they reboot all this and try to make X-Men for their own version, I'm not 1,000% certain on that. In terms of where it's going to go, which is again, if you watched FOH, was kind of one of my arguments, was that I believe that the DC universe 5 years from now has a real challenge to kind of upend MCU. Maybe not for long, but I definitely think there's a possibility. Unfortunately, with this latest news that dropped with Chadwick, it either solidifies that point or just makes me look like an asshole. So take your pick. I accept both. You saw Bill and Ted 3, so I really want to hear about this.
Well, real quick, what do you give New Mutants as far as a scale of 1 to 10?
I said 7. 7 out of 10.
7? Okay. Yeah, I saw Bill and Ted 3. I saw it when I was in LA. And really, it was one of those expectations where it's like, I'm not looking to get anything deep. It's Bill and Ted. I'm not looking to get anything philosophical. I'm not looking to get anything like, mind-blowing. It just made me laugh for an hour and a half. And I got to tell you, seeing Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, both 55 plus now, still have the chemistry of Bill and Ted all these years later is genius to me. I couldn't believe that they could really still be like, whoa, and really like make it sound authentic. And the movie doesn't shy away. The movie doesn't shy away from the fact that they're old now, but it's like no, I can't say that. But overall, the movie itself, it's a lot. It's a bunch of fun. It's so much fun, and the daughters do a great job. Samara Weaving, who plays Bill's daughter, and I can't think of her name. The one who plays Ted's daughter, but the one who plays Ted's daughter, you can clearly tell she was doing. She must either follow Keanu Reeves around the set all the time or really watch Bill and Ted because she has Ted down packed. It's insane. It was so good to see William Sadler back as Death.
You're talking about
a nice little tribute to
You're talking about Bridget Lundy Payne, right?
Bridget Lundy Payne. Yeah, I couldn't think of her name.
She was in Bombshell.
Yeah, it was. They do make a really good a shout out to George Carlin. It's a fun movie, dude. It's a really fun movie. For it to get the rollout that it got, still was able to get the eyes on it that it did. And then you can tell it wasn't a cash grab. They literally had worked on this for quite some time, and this was the end result. And I gotta tell you, the end product is pretty sweet, actually. So yeah, Bill and Ted 3. Bill and Ted Face the Music. The one thing I don't like about it is that the movie just ends abruptly. It just ends. Oh. Like, even though we have like a really cool like take us home kind of a moment, it just credits. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, I would say with that really the weird abrupt ending, I would say it's give it a solid 7. Solid 7.5.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
All right, well, we will be back next week. We have a full-blown super throwback September lineup for you guys. Like Dave said, we wanted to just, take time out to recognize the king. And, as film fans ourselves, as cinefolks ourselves, you got to take time out to salute the ones in the community who are no longer with us. And once again, extreme rest in heaven to Chadwick Boseman. And next week's movie is going to be fun, actually.
I like the fact that this next week movie technically drops on 9/11 because when Jay and I were kind of coming up with a very quick schedule for this, and this was, of course, before Chadwick had passed, I was like, we need a patriotic movie, but we need a movie that's patriotic enough to kind of enforce how silly it can kind of be sometimes. And I was very happy. That we chose this movie because
a perfect medium of like patriotic, cheesy 90s action.
But it's some decent acting as well.
But great acting though. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, cool. I can run with this. This is fun. Cool. With that being said, let people know where they can find you.
You can always catch me on Instagram, Twitter. Just don't get in a Twitter war with me. I've been all over everybody's ass lately. And Facebook at David Neff. I'm the co-host here at Back to the Classics. Please make sure you follow our Movie Talk group page as well as our Facebook page, Back to the Classics and Movie Talk group, and Back to the Classics and Movie Talk page. Yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me because I want my co-host here to get back into the groove of what he says. So let the people know where they can find you, Jay.
You can find me on all the social media simply. Oh, no, you can't. Take it back. My IG got hacked.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, my IG and my Facebook got hacked. So a little different to find me now, but it won't be hard to find me at all. I'm on IG now. Official IG is now at official J Alonzo. All right, at official J Alonzo. Of course, my Facebook page still J Alonzo. For those who already crossed over to the new page already, I'm now on Twitter at official J Alonzo. On Snapchat at official J Alonzo. All right. So of course, follow us on Instagram at BTTC Podcast on both IG and Twitter. And it's good to be back with you, my man.
Good to have you, man. Really is.
Absolutely. Yo, go out and see Tenet this weekend, people. Let us know what you thought about it. You may catch me and Dave on another IG live rant session. You never know. With that being said, I am Jay Alonzo. With me, of course, is
Danger Neff.
See y'all next week.
Peace.